Hello, everyone. This is Howard Fox, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, where we celebrate individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. This episode is the fourth in our series with the Reno-Tahoe Territory, and I have the pleasure of introducing you to Andy Chapman. He is the president and CEO at Travel North Tahoe, Nevada. Andy, good morning, good day, and how are you doing? And welcome to the podcast.
I'm doing great, Howard. It's great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to chat, like you say, about the great outdoors. As you can see behind both
Fantastic.
of us, we're already promoting the great outdoors of Lake Tahoe. So, yeah,
You've
happy to be
you've got
here.
a great picture. I love that. I want to see that snow. I'm trying to put the outdoors in the Outdoor Adventure Series, so I'm going to get up there.
Nice.
But are you a native of the Tahoe Territory? How'd you get there?
Yeah, so I grew up in Reno, spent all my life in this area. I like to say I'm a product of the Nevada public school system. Went to the elementary schools, the Reno High, UNR, graduated from UNR, and Tahoe was always my family's playground and my playground as I got old enough to drive my own car up. And so any day that I could, I was up here. And of course, once I had that opportunity to move up here, I did, and have been here for about 35 years now in the area. So it's
Excellent.
great, a beautiful place, and it's a great place to live, work, and play and protect. So we're happy to be here.
And we have to do all three of those. We can't let any one of those go, especially the protection part of it. So, eh, how did you get into the business of destination travel?
Yeah, so as I was making my way through my early career, I had a stint at Heavenly Ski Resort, and that was kind of my first effort up here. And that obviously got me into the outdoors and playing, and again, have been doing it up here all my life. And one thing kind of led to another. Did a term with Hornblower Cruises that owned the Tahoe Queen and the Tahoe
Mhm.
Princess and a couple of other vessels. I was their director of sales and marketing, so bringing group and wedding efforts into the basin, and that made its way to the North Lake Tahoe Resort Association out of Tahoe City, kind of working out of the California Friends and working out of that destination marketing organization. And 10 years ago, I had the chance to take over the reins here at Travel North Tahoe, Nevada, and during that time, we've really kind of shifted our efforts from kind of historical reinvesting these visitor room revenue dollars back into the economy by, further driving the economy to really how we're managing the destination. And,
Mhm.
we found over time that there's the three-legged stool of the economy, the community, and the environment. And all three of those need to thrive. Not any one of those could be of more importance than the other to really make the whole ecosystem work. So, been a roundabout way, but have made my way around most of Tahoe at different times. So it's a great place to be.
I was interviewing at another destination a while ago, and they used this term, a circular economy, and where the money gets invested in, and it helps not only the community take care of themselves and
Yeah.
they're where they live and where they work, where they play, but also consistently brings in the opportunities to bring in more visitors. So the money is kind of just staying and growing within the community. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, and I would add to that a little bit as opposed to just reinvesting it to kind of keep the economic engine rolling, which is important. I mean, Tahoe is a tourism economy, and we always will be. But it's how are we, investing some of those resources back into the community to
Mhm.
really, quite frankly, offset the and mitigate the impacts of visitation. Tahoe at one point in time would have been, or maybe should have been, a national park.
Mhm.
But that's well behind us, and it's not. So we have two states, five counties, multiple jurisdictions. It's an interesting place to do business in. But what we have found is the equal importance of making sure we're investing back into the community. What are some of the areas of opportunity that we could look at to make sure that the community is thriving, and then also the environment, right? We don't want to kill the golden goose, so to speak, that when people come up to Tahoe, we want it to be a great experience. We want it to be clean. We want it to be safe and a good place to be. And if any of those issues start to kind of fray a little bit, you do damage to your brand equity and your consumer interest in visiting your destination kind of sours a tad.
Sure. Now, I'd like to chat a little bit about this consortium because while you are the president and CEO of Travel North Tahoe, Nevada, we also have the other organization, North Tahoe Community Alliance. How did you guys hook up?
Yeah, so this has been going on for 20 years, over
Mhm.
20 years now. We started back in 2006, and it was actually when I was working for the predecessor organization of the North Tahoe Community Alliance. At that
Mhm.
time, it was called the North Tahoe, the Resort Association. I was the chief marketing officer there. And my predecessor at this organization, Travel North Tahoe, Nevada, he and I got together and we're talking about how, again, Tahoe's two states, five counties, multiple jurisdictions, but the visitor doesn't understand any of that. They
Right.
look at it as one destination. So we got together and having conversations. I mean, he was kind of marketing the Washoe, Tahoe, Nevada side of it. We were doing that on the California side, and it really didn't make sense because again, people didn't know. So we got together, got our boards together, and got them to understand the importance of how we could manage this destination, market this destination more effectively. And from then on, it's really been successful. It's obviously gone through multiple board makeup. Different board members come in and out, different staff comes in and out, different CEOs come in and out. But it has
Mhm.
really shown its legacy by getting through over 20 years of that. And again, it really comes down to the consumer. The
Sure.
consumer doesn't look at the state line. Now, sure, here in the California Nevada state line, you can gamble and you can game and you can go to the casinos. You can't really do that on the California side of Lake Tahoe, but other than that, it's the same destination.
Okay. Okay. Now, where you have the greater territory, the Reno-Tahoe territory, what are some of the activities that with your alliance and then with the other territories that are involved in this? Again, this is a destination that has no demarcations unless you knew there was one.
Right.
But how do you collaborate with the greater territory to bring in new experiences, bring in visitors to participate in those experiences, whether it's casual or competitive?
Yeah, that's a great question. Nevada is broken into a variety. I think there's seven territories in the state of
Hmm.
Nevada, and we are the Reno-Tahoe Territory. There's six jurisdictions in there. There's Reno, North Lake Tahoe, South Lake Tahoe, Carson City, Carson Valley, and Virginia City. But it's all very connected. It's all very close. You can travel the territory in an hour and a half, 2 hours kind of a thing pretty effectively. And it's really about driving that interest into what we would call the Northern Nevada region.
Hmm.
And the way we kind of work is, there are some maybe more well-known destinations in that kind of makeup, and there's some that are less known but are equally of interest. And so we try to make sure that we work collectively if we're bringing in media partners or our partners as yourself, making sure that everyone's, all the consumers are hearing about the different opportunities you can. And you can go, I don't do camel races here in Lake Tahoe, but Virginia City does, right? I don't do
Right.
outhouse races, but they do them there. And so all of them have very unique personalities and very different personalities.
Hmm.
And really we collaborate to make sure we are providing that best guest experience for whoever might be coming our way.
Okay. Now, the Lake Tahoe travel brand, how would you describe it, say, compared to some of the other participants in this territory?
Sure. So we just rebranded back about 6 months or so ago. I mean, for forever we were considered North Lake Tahoe because Tahoe's kind of broken into two areas. There's North Lake Tahoe and South Lake Tahoe. For
Hmm.
those that are somewhat familiar with the destination, other people who are less familiar just think of it as Lake Tahoe. But we felt that really kind of taking advantage of that Lake Tahoe name recognition, world renowned name recognition and making sure that our businesses were being justifiably being represented under that brand. And so we had really stayed strong with the North Lake Tahoe brand for 20 years probably, and just found that talking with our businesses and the competitive nature of the visitor dollar has changed for sure.
Hmm.
It's a different environment than it had been in the past, and we just felt it was an opportunity to kind of hang our moniker over that Lake Tahoe destination a little bit more effectively. And it's been going great. Our community really is behind it. Our businesses are really behind it. And most important, the consumers are really reacting to it very well.
Okay. Now, the what I have found in interviewing destinations, and by the way, I have to say, you have the perfect job, and you get to
I think
wake
so
up
too.
every day, yeah, and promote this beautiful destination. Folks come in, heads in beds and cash registers singing, as somebody once shared with me. But also, you've got the environment and the stewardship that goes along with it. Why, within your destination, what makes yours, say, unique from one of the other destinations, and how are you managing it so that people's experiences are top notch? There's caring and appreciation for the environment, and people leave saying, "Wow, what an experience!" That's kind of a big loaded question.
Yeah, no, it's good. We really had a reflection point back during the pandemic. As we got into that first summer in 2020, really kind of got caught with our proverbial pants down because we weren't anticipating the amount of travel and visitation and just human impact we were going to see. I
Mhm.
mean, obviously, many you couldn't go to national parks, you couldn't go to movie theaters, you couldn't go to golf courses. Tennis rec centers were closed, but where you could go was outside.
Right.
And our governors of the two states, both California and Nevada, basically told people to do that, and they did. We also had kind of that second homeowner market that maybe had been at their enjoying their place here in Lake Tahoe 2, 3 times a year. They were now living here for 2 years. So we
Mhm.
just had all this impact, and it gave us a reflection point as a region to really look at how are we managing this destination differently. We had, people not understanding how to use bear boxes or trash containers, or bathrooms were closed during the COVID periods, but you still nature calls, you still have to get out there and take care of that. But so we had an opportunity to kind of set a new table in Tahoe, which we did. We had it was at the end of the day, we were able to stand up this organization called the Lake Tahoe Destination Stewardship Council, of
Mhm.
which we are founding members, and many other folks around the destination. But it includes about 35 people, all the jurisdictions, all the counties, private entities, all the state land managers, state parks. Forest Service is very important to us. About 80% of the land is owned by federal government up here through the Forest Service. So you
Mhm.
have to have the Forest Service at the table. And critically important was the Washoe tribe of California and Nevada. They are the original and current stewards of this lake, and we
Mhm.
needed to make sure that we had their voice at play in this. So we kind of set a new table, and it gave us an opportunity kind of look at it as an analogy of the marketing department talking to the ops department. Sometimes that doesn't happen. The ops
Right.
department is doing what they're doing, and marketing's doing what they're doing. Well, this gave us an opportunity to kind of sit around the table and make sure that we weren't kind of missing any of those things. Like if the Forest Service was having issues with bathroom closures because of government shutdowns, which we've gone through a few of those, we had an avenue then to work collectively together and say, okay, how can we as a region assist with that? How can we contract separately outside of the Forest Service to make sure bathrooms are showing up and bathrooms are being cleaned? Because again, just because you close something doesn't mean that people are going to stop coming. So
Right.
during that time, that's when we also made this shift from really more of a destination marketing organization to destination management organizations, and that's collectively around the lake. There's 3 bureaus around the lake, and we all have made that shift. And so now it's much more about management. Yes, the economy, as I mentioned, is still super important, but we know we have to make sure we're taking care of the other elements. Transportation is very important. Short of workforce housing, transportation is our number one issue in Tahoe. We have to figure that out. Right now, you can't like connect by public transportation from North Shore to South Shore.
Really?
There's gaps in our system, and we're trying to fill those gaps and make sure that we're giving residents and visitors alike an opportunity to not drive their car. We have two-lane highways. We're not going to build more highways around the edge of this lake.
Right.
We're doing that. We're dealing with mitigation. We're dealing with, downtown beautification. Simple things that are like, let's just make sure our downtown is clean and looks good and has good signage, so people know where to go. But yeah, it's been this shift to this destination management space over the last several years.
Okay. Okay.
Excuse me.
If I wanted, and there's a reason I'm going to ask this question, but if I wanted to drive around the lake to see all the communities around the lake, would I be able to do that?
You can. We do not encourage that.
Okay.
But you certainly can. I mean, there is a road that it circles the lake, and you could do it in about 3 hours if you're just going from one end to the other. But
Okay.
what we really encourage, and it's a bit of an ethos that we're kind of working on, is kind of slow down. Take it slow, enjoy where you are.
Okay.
Try to move away from oh, I got to get the next best selfie spot, or that might be, and really immerse into the community that you are in. Now, yes, you may want to go to a different community a day or two from now, but stay within the community, get to understand the community, pick that community for its benefits and its values that align with your travel preferences, and really
Okay.
get to know it and stay there and examine it. Yeah, we do have folks come in all the time and they're driving around the lake, and we try to help facilitate that as much as possible. We also, encourage folks to spend a little time, slow down. You're in Tahoe, you're in nature, you're in one of the Earth's most beautiful locations. So
Definitely.
don't speed through it. Enjoy it.
Okay. And the reason I was asking that too, and I really appreciate your answer up front, is I was thinking this idea of a circulator, but around the lake, but it doesn't make sense because, as you just shared, slow down, spend a day or two at this town or this area, then go to the next one, then the next one. So it's kind of a slow tourism and just take it
Yeah.
all in.
Yeah, and we recognize that we do need to connect these gaps in our transit system. I mean, you can get around North Shore pretty easily. You can get around South Shore pretty well in a public transit mode. But we need better connection points between the two destinations. We are currently working on systems that would, maybe pull cars off the road at the entry points of the basin before you get into the basin, and then connect that transit into those key areas that folks are interested into going to. We obviously run airport shuttles and all those important things. Again, a car off the road is a car off the road. So whether it's a visitor or a resident, it's good in my book.
Sure. You've kind of alluded to some initiatives that are going on right now in the North Tahoe area, but are there some one or two that whether it's conservation, stewardship, that you're actively involved in, and you see some really positive impact coming out of it?
Yeah, I'll talk about one that's right in the Reno-Tahoe Territory. It's called SR 28, State Route 28. It's the highway connector that connects kind of the Spooner Summit area that gets you down to Carson City or to South Shore to the Incline Village area. And
Hmm.
it's a key recreation corridor. Back in the day, back in the late 30s, early 40s, a gentleman called George Wattell really purchased all of that land along what's called Lake Tahoe's East Shore, and has kept it out of development. So there's no development along that east shore where you'll see maybe on the west shore a little bit more of homes and everything there. So SR 28 Recreation Corridor is a key initiative that we're working on right now. There's an organization called the Tahoe Transportation District. They're the MPO for transit. They're the transit authority for a bi-state transit authority for the basin. I actually sit as their chair for that board, and we're really focused on that corridor and then working with state lands, Nevada state lands, and Nevada state parks, and the Forest Service that all own land in that corridor. As an example, there was a old parking lot of about 30 spots. We've redeveloped that and turned it into 130 spots. There is a secondary, smaller parking lot that will go through that same transformation next year. And then up at the top of Spooner Summit, there will be a new transit hub, 250 slot parking area there, and a full-time permanent boat inspection station because the inspection of invasive species on boats is very critical for us. So to
Mhm.
put a boat in Tahoe, it has to be inspected.
Okay.
So there's an opportunity to do that. But the idea is to kind of remove all of that unsafe parking that's currently happening on the shoulder of that SR 28 recreation corridor, move them into offsite parking, and then provide that transit because people still need to get where they need to go.
Right.
So creating that transit that would allow them to get into the corridor and access that corridor. We're looking at this initiative called Park Tahoe, which is kind of a paid parking on these recreation corridors, so that the parking fees are going back in to sustain the destination and sustain that area. So, it's a key initiative that we're really working on. We're excited about it. There's key components that are coming online this year and then over the next couple of years to really help that part of the destination that's right in that Reno-Tahoe territory experience.
Very good. A lot of very interesting initiatives going on. And again, your photo, my photo, just a beautiful area, and it just take advantage of it, enjoy it, but also it still requires funds and projects, initiatives to take care of it.
It,
Both.
it, it does, and
Yeah.
and it takes a mindset. When people are coming up, I always say, be mindful of your travel, be mindful of your impacts. If you see some litter on the ground, pick it up. I know it's not yours, but why not? Why not bend down, pick it up, and throw it in a nearby trash can? Let's keep it good for everyone, and we're all users of this destination, so it's not a visitor versus resident thing for me. It's human users. So if
Right.
I'm sitting in traffic, I'm part of traffic, whether I'm a visitor or a resident. So we all have a role to play in this protection.
I love it. I love it. And I have a request. I liked when I'm on these interviews with destinations and chambers to visit their websites, because it's nice to be taken on a tour and perhaps we'll open up some other conversation. But if you're okay with it, I'd like to share your website and you get to take us on a tour, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, please do.
Excellent. So all that has to work right now, Andy, is technology. All right. Sometimes that is a challenge. All right. So right now we are having a look, I believe, at your website.
Yeah, that's the homepage there. The dive in is kind of is our campaign that we came out that supports the Lake Tahoe travel brand. And it goes back to our conversation about really exploring a place, slowing down, digging into the depth of it. So it's kind of a double entendre with diving into the water itself, but just diving into the destination. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a great introduction to our destination for folks that are thinking about coming up. If you're new to the destination, kind of hitting that explore link up on the top gives you a great opportunity to dig into some of your personal passions
Mhm.
of what you might be interested in. And then next to that is the stay. And that really kind of starts getting into we have 12 resorts and towns in North Lake Tahoe, and they're all very different. I mean, a stay in Kings Beach or Incline Village is significantly different than a stay at Palisades or North Star Village. But the key is you could really, kind of curate an experience that matches your vacation preferences, whether you're a family that's looking to soak up the sun and in a mom and pop location in Kings Beach, or you want high-end luxury at the Hyatt Incline Village or the Ritz Carlton North Star. So lots of good information there, and importantly at the end there, travel responsibly. It's a great resource that digs into how you can help us save this lake. And this is a great point here. Tahoe is 2 million years old.
Mhm.
And so we are here to get it to its next 2 million years and do our part of that. So a great area to kind of play in and understand how we're dealing with the destination, how you can help us deal with the destination as a visitor, and kind of play your role. So it's a
Okay.
great resource for folks. again, we just launched this new brand last year. We're going through some changes to the website, so more to come on that in the next year. More
Okay.
and some exciting things that'll happen with the website coming up.
Excellent. Now, I was kind of joking with you. I actually was half serious that there's a cup of coffee between you are between my next cup of coffee, my first and my second. If you have friends, family coming to visit, and again, I know we don't want to play favorites, but if they're coming in, say, for a long weekend, and I actually that begs a question. One, Lake Tahoe area is a full year destination. I mean, you visit at any time of the year. There's always something to do.
Yeah.
Would you say that with the residents or the folks that come in and have their own homes, second home here? Would you say the area is the kind of is it a week destination? Is it a long weekend? What do you think your visitors who are coming to your area, how are they spending their time? And what's that duration?
Yeah, it's a heavy weekend destination for sure. And we have, the Bay Area and 11 million people live 3.5 hour drive from Tahoe, and we're considered their backyard. And
Okay.
certainly when they have rain in the wintertime, they're knowing we're getting snow, and they're heading up here and getting up here to take advantage of that fresh snow. But we also get a lot of long haul visitation, people who are staying here for a week that are flying in, and certainly our international visitor is so important to us, and it's been hard this last year or so. The international travel has been soft in our country, and
Yep.
certainly we're no different in that. So, it's really from a weekend to a week or more, and there's opportunity for everything in between. We get a lot of day visitation as well, and we would love to see that day visitation stay a night, and again, really dive into the destination and understand it, and don't just drive through it. But we do get a lot of day visitation as well. That is one area that we're really focusing on kind of consumer education and how to talk to those folks who are kind of coming in for a day and making sure they understand some of these same concerns that
Okay.
others have.
Okay. Now, if you have visitors coming in, these are family, friends, and let's say they're gonna stay over for a long weekend. Where are you going to take him for a cup of coffee in the morning? Besides your house, I'm sure you've got the best cup of coffee at home, but where would you take them for a good cup of coffee?
That's a great question. I mean, if they're here, kind of on the incline side where I am, I'm probably going to drink coffee, do stuff. It's the name of the company, Drink Coffee, Do Stuff, and because I just like that, I like to drink coffee and I like to do stuff. So
I love it.
it's a brand that speaks well to me, and so that's a spot. If I'm going for a nice breakfast, maybe the old post office over in more towards the Tahoe City side. It's actually an old one of North Shore's original post offices that have been converted to a great little cafe, and they still have all the remnants of an old post office around, all the post office boxes and things like that. So lots of good opportunities for that.
Okay. Now, is there besides the post office, is there a dinner spot, lunch spot where, the best, everyone knows it's the best pizza, the best soup, or the best fresh fish? Where's that? Where would you take them?
Oh boy, you ask some great questions because there's many,
I
but
admit,
my for and I'll answer it this way. My favorite for lunch is to go to a deli, get a deli sandwich, and then go down to the lake somewhere, sit on a rock at the edge of the lake, sit on the beach on a beach blanket, and enjoy that sandwich down there in nature, and get out and just get some vitamin D and enjoy it. So.
you are, Annie, speaking my language, and it goes for the cup of coffee too, which is why I was joking earlier. I sit out in my backyard. There's bird feeders, there's flowers, even here in in Las Vegas. I love what you just described for, whether it's a drink or something to eat, it's just soak it all in.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than that. Since you are so familiar with this area, it's been part of your family experience. What is your preferred or your go-to outdoor activity?
I'm really enjoying mountain biking right now. I mean,
Okay.
Incline actually a number of years ago got the single track capital for Nevada for single track mountain bike magazine. We have nothing but great single track up here and old mining roads that you can go and explore. So really love that on the mountain bike. Do a lot of hiking,
Okay.
just again because there's lots of trails here. I always like to go get you just went by a brewery blog there. So I love going to the breweries as well and enjoy that after a nice hike and really just going down to the lake. The way I look at it, it's anything you're doing in, on, under, or above the waters of Lake Tahoe. I'm having a great time. I'm
All
enjoying
right.
it.
I joke with a lot of my guests, and I don't know, I think it's funny, but it could be reality. I'm always looking for my next place to live. And after all these interviews I have been doing within the Reno-Tahoe territory, I'm thinking there's a lot of possibility up here.
There you go.
I
We'll
love it.
welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, listen, I am going to stop sharing the screen. And so it's back for you and I. As you kind of look back on your work in the destination marketing space and now with the consortia or the community alliance and the cooperative partnership, I should say, as you look back on this work that you have been doing and promoting this area of the community, what's been your aha moment? Like, wow, this I get to do this.
Yeah. I think an aha moment, and it's a little bit about why we do it and how we keep doing it is and it's unfortunately for a lot of things it's around funding, right? It's
Mhm.
you need dollars to do projects, you need dollars to invest in the community, and we have some limitations on funding, and so how can we advance a funding stream and look for how to do different funding streams. So been getting really involved in the Nevada legislative process. Nevada is one of only two states that only meets on a biannual basis for only 7 months during the year. So we're in an interim period right now. But we had some opportunities to kind of work on some possible bills in the 2025 session. We're successful on some, unsuccessful on others, but like I say, we're disappointed but not deterred. So we'll be back at it in 2027. And it's really about trying to work with our community. Our business community is certainly interested in it. Nevada doesn't have enabling language that businesses can do a self-assessment, where they could do a self-assessment to generate money to go towards very specific and identified needs. So
Mhm.
we're working on that. California has that. Wyoming has that. Utah has that. Lots of other places have that opportunity. Nevada does not. So we're working on language that will at least allow the Lake Tahoe portion of Nevada to participate in something like that. And if successful or when successful, it'll allow us to really increase our investment into these critical core areas and initiatives that we know are important and have to happen in order to make this destination thrive for future generations. So that's
Okay.
that's been it's been a great process and one I'm really proud of.
Okay. When we were looking at the website, there was the paragraph that talked about how long Lake Tahoe has been around millions of years. There's a lot going on in our country right now. There's a lot of differing opinions around conservation, stewardship, access, and I don't intend to get political, but don't want to. But do you have hope for the next 1 million years here in Lake Tahoe, whether you and I and our ancestors are going to enjoy it or not?
That's a pretty long horizon, that million years to look down. But yeah, I think I am hopeful. I mean, this this destination has been here long before we would call it a destination, right? Our friends at the Washoe tribe have been, this is their time immortal here. This is where they began as a culture and as a people. And we have great anticipation and expectation that we're going to continue that on. There's a lot of right people and there's a lot of good people doing good work. not only around this table that we've set, but within this destination and others. I have friends and acquaintances that work in other parts of the country that are dealing with very similar issues that we are, and we get a chance to commiserate and congratulate when things happen. But I think there are a lot of good people doing. Keep our eye on that and understand that there are many good days ahead of us. So,
Excellent, excellent. Before we head out, is there some insight, something you'd like to share with our listeners about why Lake Tahoe, why this whole territory, why come for a visit? Why care about this?
yeah. So one thing that I came across, and it does kind of fit in with your question. It's a book called Blue Mind,
Hmm.
and it's about scientific research about the benefits, the health benefits, both physical and mental health benefits of being around big bodies of water. And Tahoe's actually in the book a short amount, but it's
Hmm.
really about oceans and rivers and rainfall and all of that. But it really talks about that, and it kind of spoke to me from a standpoint of why we do what we do here.
Hmm.
Because there is such a benefit, a health benefit, a human benefit for being around water, whether it's in its frozen form of snow or it's in its melted form, running on waterfalls, getting down to the lake. It's a beautiful experience, and it really allows you, I think, to settle the day's issues and keep fighting on the good fight. But it's a great book for those that are interested in that kind of information.
I love it. I don't know if I had shared it prior to our call today, but when I am not podcasting, my full-time gig is I am actually an executive coach, leadership development,
Hmm.
career development. And there's an area of coaching, it's growing right now. It's essentially outdoor coaching,
Hmm.
where you take people out on the trails. Could be one-on-one, could be small group, could be a couple coaches taking people around.
Sure.
Have your feet are touching the ground. You're near that body of water. You're listening for the birds and the wind and
Mhm.
everything else. And what you just said is very powerful. There is definitely a correlation between nature, water, and land and our mental health and well-being. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm going to include a link back to the Blue Mind book in our show
Sure.
notes. And I
Okay.
appreciate that. Now, we did visit the website, LakeTahoeTravel.com. I assume that all of the backlinks to your social sites are there as
Yep.
well, so that'll be the
Absolutely.
go-to place.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
do I have your permission to use some photos, say from the website or the Facebook page for some, or if you can give me a link to some
Yeah,
photos for our
absolutely.
banners?
Yeah, you
Uh,
could go into there's a media link on that Lake Tahoe travel webpage down at the bottom. Feel
Okay.
free to download whatever is relative.
Excellent. Yeah, I love to be able. In fact, we're sharing the video, but we'll also share some of the great photos on our banners and on the show notes. Annie, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate your time. It's I and it's it for our listeners. This is Saturday. It's Saturday morning. I imagine you're going to go out and explore and do something fun today. I am going to go enjoy my second cup of coffee and
Yep.
check out that book. But thank you
Yeah.
for spending time with us today.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, Howard. It was great talking to you. And I too will get another cup of coffee before I venture out. So looking forward to that.
Excellent. Listen, stay in the line. We're going to do a quick closing, and then you and I can have a final chat. Okay.
Great.
All right, folks. We have just been chatting with Andy Chapman. He is the president and CEO at Travel North Tahoe, Nevada. Lake Tahoe Travel is a cooperative partnership of these two destination organizations, North Tahoe Community Alliance and Travel North Tahoe, Nevada. And we also want to thank our partners that helped to plan these episodes. Lake Tahoe Territory. See, I'm already saliva. I'm thinking of my cup of coffee. But what a great conversation! And I am going to admit I have not. I've only seen Lake Tahoe virtually. I have to get up there. So, Andy, I think there's a cup of coffee in our future. But
Absolutely.
look, folks, you can't get any better in this country. I mean, this Nevada, California, so much beauty, and Lake Tahoe is just magical. And we've got to not only experience it, explore it, take your time traveling through it, but also help to take care of it. And let's, as facetious as it might sound, let's keep it around and healthy for the next million years. Now, this episode will be available up on our website, outdooradventureseries.com, where we will also be on LinkedIn and Facebook on our Outdoor Adventure Series pages. The video of this episode will be up on YouTube, which will include not only the interview, but the tour through the Lake Tahoe travel website that Andy graciously provided for us. And of course, you can listen to this episode wherever you get your podcast from. So go visit Lake Tahoe, download a couple podcast episodes, including this one, and just get out there and enjoy yourself. Until next time, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there and have a fantastic day. And we look forward to having you join us on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.